just as a comment on the phone company and on the phone service, because if anyone who's lived in New York knows how dreadful it is. I mean, really horrible.
No, not just in New York.
No, I know.
Other cities too.
Might be the worst there.
But is it true? I'm told that was first planned. You first planned to do Ernestine before Laugh-In on a now defunct program called Music Scene.
Well, I was going to do it on Music Scene, yes, but I had been doing Ernestine for about 6 months in my act in New York. You know, I worked in little coffee houses and places like that. And so when I went on Music Scene, which was just in the fall of '69, just a couple of months before Laugh-In, we filmed it and everything, but the ABC censors took it off the air because they didn't want to offend the phone company. That was their attitude.
I find that a terribly sad story.
Yeah.
I really do. That kind of stuff, you know, is... Well, I'm speechless about it. When you finally did it on this bold program...
Well, that's how networks do, though. I mean, that's how any big, you know, one corporation does for another. I mean, they look out for one another.
Yeah, that's true.
I can cite other stories.
Cite some.
Well, for instance, I just recently, now people will deny this, you understand.
It's all right.
This is not earth-shattering or anything. It's nothing that no one's not unaware of, but I wanted to call Lockheed.
Yeah.
You know, I wanted Ernestine to call Lockheed.
Yeah.
And Lockheed is a Burbank-based corporation, and so is NBC.
Yeah, beautiful.
And who knows what else.
Yeah.
I mean, so I know you'll see that Ernestine will never call Lockheed.
So though NBC was bold enough to allow you to use AT&T, they never allowed you to use Lockheed.
Well, not so far.
What was the reaction of the telephone company at first when it began?
Oh, well, at first they, were a little, well, they sent public relations people around, you know, to look things over.
What do they do? What does the public relations guy do? Say, please have lunch and comment?
No, he would just,
like that.
first, well, see, I didn't catch on to it for a couple of weeks, because, like, I would be taping Laugh-In for about 6 weeks before Ernestine went on the air.
Oh, yeah.
And I had no idea that she was going to be enormously popular. I thought, I was just glad that the crew liked her, right? It makes working very much more pleasant.
That's right.
Right, guys? So, so I was just glad about that. And then suddenly I started, it just sort of filtered down to me, you know, that the telephone company was present on the set, or someone, an emissary of the phone company was on the set. And I know the man to this day, and I'm still friendly with him. I mean, I speak to him. I'm not friendly with him. And they didn't... so first I had visions. I said, they'll probably offer me free phone service for the rest of my life. All the long-distance calls I want to make. Well, they didn't do anything like that. But they were a little uptight, and there was a lot of static with the network and stuff like that. But Laugh-In, you know...
Resisted.
Laugh-In resisted, right? And Ernestine went on the air, and they didn't like it at first, especially because that first monologue was talking to Mr. Vedel, and there was the suggestion that they had dossiers on people and taped conversations. I mean, those were the threats that Ernestine used.
The suggestion where to put the phone, I think, sometimes.
Oh, sometimes we did do that, yes. But more importantly was the suggestion that there were taped conversations, and Ernestine literally blackmailed Mr. Vedel, you know, into paying. Well, they didn't like, because that's very true. They do have taped conversations, and they do have dossiers, and all usually under the safe label of improving customer relations and customer service. Yes.
They listened in to me once. I phoned a guy long distance, an old friend of mine. I said, "How are you, you old so-and-so, so-and-so, so-and-so?" And you know, a voice came on the phone and said, "I am sorry, sir. We do not allow profanity on the Bell system." And I got very angry, and I then called the Bell system and accused them of snooping.
Was that a long time ago?
This was about 2 years ago. And,
Just 2
and I
years?
immediately got a call from the supervisor apologizing in the most abject terms. They weren't really snooping. I said, "Well, if they're not snooping, why do you care if I use profanity? How'd you know I used it?" "So, well, we're just checking the service, sir." Well, I said, "Don't check this," and they didn't.
Well, that operator, or that monitoring person was not too cool.
No.
Well, anyway, they didn't like that. They didn't like that too much. But then as soon as they saw how, like he would say to me on the side, he'd say, "Well, what's the next conversation going to be about?" And things like that, you know.
That's a little, didn't you feel a little nervous with all that sort of over-the-shoulder stuff going on?
No, they have a lot of nerve.
Yeah, they do, actually. But then they try to get you to do commercials, right?
Yeah, that's the way it goes. That's the way it is. That's the way, that's how we've been conditioned to think that we should conduct our lives with no integrity.
But you won't do commercials for the Bell system, for anybody. Good for you. You're one of the few.
Well, I was insulted, you know. I think it's, I thought it was, but it's not their fault. I mean, they just believe that that's the way life works.
Did they raise the ante when you kept saying no?
Yeah, sure, they did that.
Wonderful. And you kept saying no.
Yeah, it's not that hard, though. There's a lot of people, you know, now, I mean, there's a whole generation of people that know that money is hollow.
Yeah.
And it doesn't mean anything.
Doesn't it bother you to see an actor of the quality of Henry Fonda standing on a wax floor pointing at the wax? And...
yeah, I don't like it. I don't go for it.
What is the amount they offered? How much did you turn down? Just so we get that in the record.
Oh. You want to say it?
Yeah.
Oh, they offered, the last offer I knew about was $500,000.
They offered you $500,000.
That's nothing, Pierre.
No.
I mean, that's nothing. That's just money.
That's right. You don't care about money?
And you don't get it anyway. I mean,
yeah.
you won't get it. And plus, if you get a lot of money, then it slows you down because you have to buy things.
But you're not doing too badly as a result of laughing.
Well, no, that's what I'm saying. I don't even like to talk about that whole thing because who am I to talk about turning down money anyway? Because I certainly I certainly am not hurting financially, am I? Of course, who knows about 6 months from now?
It's the kind of business you're in. Were you must have been surprised when this hit big. Laughing, you've been doing the Laughing, what do you do, 6 in advance?
Yes.
It goes on one night. You go down to the supermarket the next day.
It's exactly how it happened. Who told you that?
Oh, we have our ways. We have our little ways.
It does happen like that. I couldn't believe it, you know. First of all, I had done Ernestine once before on the Merv Griffin show.
Yeah, I heard that.
Just when I was living in New York, and I used to do the Griffin show about once a month. And she just was one of my monologues. I didn't put any more emphasis on her than I did on anybody else that I did, you know. And so then when I suddenly did it on Laugh-In, and then literally overnight, people were recognizing me in the streets, and there was just so much reaction to it, you know. I adjusted very quickly, though.
It's a baffling that they would recognize you in the streets because really, you know, I'm just looking at the cover of this album, which I now show, to show that Lily Tomlin really is a hell of a lot better looking than Ernestine.
Well, Ernestine was good looking at one time.
You mean you changed all this?
Well, no, Ernestine herself.
Oh, I see. Oh, yeah, I forgot.
She started out, she was good looking. She went to the phone company when she was 18 and got a job there, and she looked rather like Loretta Young. And but then after she stayed at the switchboard intimidating people and exerting her power, and pretty soon everything just turned right in on her. All that poison just turned in on her. You know, otherwise she probably would be better looking.
How do you do that hairdo? Where did that come from?
That's a wig.
It is. It's got to be.
It's a wig. It's just everybody says, well, I have it. Everybody in the world, probably half the reason Ernestine, people responded.
It's a 50s wig.
40s.
Is it 40s?
Sure.
Gosh. That's where it came
40s.
From. Where do you find a 40s
Loretta
wig?
Young wore her hair like that.
And I'd forgotten.
A lot of people did. I think Ruth Hussey wore her hair like that.
Where do you get a 40s wig? Is it hard to get?
No, it's a regular wig, but you tell the hairdresser what style to dress it.
I don't know anything about wigs. You know.
Right. Well, anything can be
Where
done.
do you pick up your own clothes? Do you buy your own clothes for these various characters? And where do you get them from?
Oh, sometimes I have pieces that I've, gathered or something, and other times like Ernestine's jewelry. Now, when kids send me a picture of Ernestine, they're so meticulous. They draw the jewelry perfectly. They draw every detail. Now, that jewelry...
Show the jewelry, you see, there's the...
That jewelry is a black plastic jewelry with white circles with yellow dots in the middle. Kind of like in half...
Where did you find it?
Well, I found it at NBC, but I spent like 3 days looking through, all the jewelry.
Oh, you did?
Because I worked at the Howard Johnson's at 49th and Broadway in New York, and it was a very teeny Howard Johnson's, and so they never picked a waitress of the week at our place because we were just like to be ignored, We didn't even have to wear hair.